It's Andrea Gribble with the Mastering Social Media for Schools podcast. This is the place to hang out if you are an educator in the K-12 space and you're using social media to celebrate the incredible things happening in your schools, whether you're a public school, a private school, charter school, whether you're a service agency serving schools. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time listening, welcome. You're going to learn a lot in today's episode, and I hope you'll go back and binge over, well over 270 episodes. It's summertime. Maybe you have a little more time to be able to listen and learn and grow. So happy you're here. And I'm really excited because today you're going to learn and hear from Max Smith. He's the digital marketing manager at Region 10 ESC. If you're wondering what ESC stands for. He's going to break all of that down, but he's going to share how he's using social media to really amplify school storytelling. And you're really going to be interested in his journey into school PR. It started doing some volunteer work in college, and it's very, very interesting. And by the way, Max's real name isn't Max. That's his middle name. You got to hang on till the end of the episode to learn his real name. And I'd love to get feedback because I'm trying to convince him he's got to make the switch because it's pretty dang exciting. So that's just a little teaser for the end. Max is going to focus today on a event that he created. It's called the Get Social Summit. Him and his members at his ESC created it. It happened for the first time last year. It really is a must attend for school communicators in Texas and beyond. And so we're going to give you an invite into what it's all about, who's going to be there. Spoiler alert. I am. So if you want to be in person with me in October, I would love to see you there. He's going to share some of his best advice on building engagement on social media and also following some other channels. And if you have just an idea of maybe wanting to implement something like this, like a training, a workshop focused on social media in your ESC or service cooperative, or maybe even your local or state chapter for school public relations, school communicators, he's going to share some really great tips on how to make an event like this happen. So don't miss it. You're going to really want to lean in. We're going to, of course, start out with a little tip, but then we're going to dive into the interview. And I just want to make sure that everybody listening knows, did you know that I wrote a book on social media for schools? It's called Social Media for Schools. Okay. It's a guide. It's not really a cover to cover read. It is a great guidebook to help you celebrate your school, give you the right processes, the right, policies to put in place, and then the right strategies that really work on branding and storytelling and best practices and, connecting and handling comments. All of it is in one little book for a very great price. You can check it out on Amazon or wherever books are sold. We've got links in the show notes as well. So if you have not yet grabbed your copy, if you love listening to this podcast, you're going to love that book. Okay. So now let's jump into this week's K-12 PR tip. All right. Today's K-12 PR tip is actually an extension of what you're going to learn about today. I'm so excited for you to meet today's guest. But my tip for really building engagement and helping with content is don't be afraid to ask people in your community, ask your followers if they share a great story, if they tag you in something, actually ask them, hey, can we feature this on our school's social media pages? It really develops that relationship. And I think that that is so key when you are growing your social media channels. You want people to pay attention. People love user-generated content. And one way of getting user-generated content is to have some type of contest, right? Some type of process. But when you spot something that's awesome, that is from somebody that's sharing things out on their channels that are maybe tagging you in a story or beyond, maybe you take the extra effort to send a direct message, to reach out to them and just say, hey, do you mind if we use this and feature this on our social media channels? Dude, they're going to feel like really honored and really seen. they're going to probably share more stories and more content going forward because you took the time to ask, and then you're getting great content. You're also probably seeing, is it already driving good engagement with the way they shared it? And maybe you're going to tweak it just a little bit or somehow share that. So that is my tip for today. Let's look at these opportunities of other people telling our story and then just take that little extra effort to ask them if you can share that on your social media channels, because that little bit, that little extra is going to go a long way. So now let's dig in to today's amazing interview with Max. Welcome to the podcast, Max. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm really good. It's like been a Texas superstorm lately. I've been talking to amazing people from the state of Texas, and today is no different. I've got my friend Max Smith on. Max, why don't you share a little bit of your background and your role as digital marketing manager at Region 10 ESC?
Right. So, as you mentioned, I'm the digital marketing manager at Region 10. I first came here as their digital marketing specialist. So, in that role, I was handling all their social media needs from Facebook, Twitter, now X, LinkedIn, Instagram. And so I did that for the first 2 or so years. And then I think, what was it, last year, I was promoted to be their digital marketing manager. And so in that role, I'm still doing social media, but I'm also doing some graphic design as well. There's a little bit more video stuff, photography, stuff like that. And then also in that role, I've also helped out some school districts every now and then with their social media needs. So if the school district has any questions about social media, they can come to us, they can ask us for our input and our advice. And so we do that too. I've done a couple of trainings over Instagram Reels and over engaging with comments on social media. And so it's just a different stuff every single day, really,
Yeah.
which I love because I get to find out what I'm doing today when I walk in. So it's always fun getting to guess what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's the role of any kind of a school communicator, and especially with social media in
Oh
your
yeah.
title. What did you do leading up to your role with Region 10?
So before I came to Region 10, I was actually a student at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, go Islanders. And so there I was, my first job in marketing was actually doing the managing their marketing for their volunteer department. Because
Okay.
a lot of colleges, they have like big budgets, and so they can hire like a staff member to oversee all that stuff. But since this is a smaller college, they kind of delegated it all out to a student. And so I got to oversee all of the marketing for our volunteer department. And that came in during the summer of 2017, right before Hurricane Harvey came through. And so I got some little firsthand experience there managing a crisis communications with a hurricane. Just kind of got thrown into that. And I really love getting to connect people with the volunteer opportunities and the aftermath of that hurricane. Getting to post on social media saying, hey, here's some nonprofits that people are needing volunteers for. And then we would see somebody comment saying, okay, I'm gonna go volunteer with them. And then the next day they would like tag us on social media saying, I volunteered with this organization today. And I thought that was just really cool to see because it was like I kind of connected them to this opportunity. And it kind of showed me the power of social media, being able to get the information out there, getting people to engage with their community, help them out in the aftermath of this natural disaster, kind of like that. And then following that, I interned with a local nonprofit called All Hands and Hearts. It's a disaster relief organization that was in the area, but I got to also do like international disaster relief communications using their social media channels. So we covered natural disasters that were in Nepal. I want to say there was one in Mexico. It's been a couple of years now since I've done it, but I remember hearing and engaging with comments from across the globe, and so that was a really cool opportunity to be able to like talk to somebody who was looking to volunteer from Australia because like that's like halfway around the world. Like I never would imagine that, and so it was just a really cool opportunity. And then following all that, I graduated from there, got my degree, and then I came here after I graduated.
Okay. So you've been there for like about 3 years, is that
I'm
right?
coming up on my fourth full year, so I think
Okay.
actually May 3rd was my fourth year anniversary year.
Okay, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I was speaking with somebody that's kind of new to school PR. They actually found out about this whole world of school PR through the podcast, which is awesome.
Oh, really?
But you are just proof of kind of your generation of you really grew up with social media
Hmm.
and being able to leverage some of those skills and go to work right away and make such an impact. I'm interested in this volunteer kind of role that you had at your university. How
Yeah.
did that come to be? Were you just talking to somebody or did they post that type of
So,
position?
so the way that the university's volunteer department worked is that they called it a departmental organization, where it's like a student club, but it's run by the university and they pay students to run it. So I was there as a volunteer member in that club for like a year, 2 years. And then they posted saying that they're looking for a marketing and membership coordinator. And so there I applied for it. And honestly, at the time, I thought it was a volunteer position. I didn't think I was getting paid for it until after I got the job. I had started filing paperwork and they're asking me for my direct deposit information. And I asked my boss, I was like, why do I need this? And she's like, so we can pay you. And I was like, oh, I'm getting paid for this? It was like a whole thing that I didn't know about the inner workings of how the university kind of runs that stuff. But so that's how I found out about it. And then I was able to kind of spread the word about how people can volunteer with us, and then how if you volunteer with us, and then we have these leadership positions open up, how it can introduce them to a whole new world of career possibilities.
Yeah.
So I kind of stumbled into it, kind of, I want to say.
Yeah, but you were in motion and I mean, obviously, volunteer and some of those efforts are at the heart of who you are, which I think
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot of listeners out there can relate. And whether you're still going to school or some young person that's going to school, gosh, give them some encouragement. Maybe they'll listen to this interview as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
About how many hours a week did you work then in that role?
So for that role, since it was a student position,
Yep.
they had us working. It was partially paid and partially unpaid. So on the hours like that I got paid for was about 8 hours a week,
Okay.
but I probably volunteered about another 10, 20 or so hours
Okay.
following that. And so there was a little bit of a different balance between how many hours I get paid for and how many hours I work for. But like I loved working that so much that like I didn't mind that I was giving up like 20 volunteer hours for it. Because I believe that the work that they were doing was so important, getting to expose these students to different opportunities to volunteer in their community and exposing them to these different issues that they can volunteer and help aid.
Yeah, and make an impact.
Yeah.
And what a great experience positioning you now for your role there at Region 10 ESC. So, for those people listening that maybe don't understand what an ESC is, like in Texas, because they're called different things in different
Yeah.
states. So, can you just tell me a little bit about about Region 10 and about how many schools are in your region and all of that?
Oh, so I've been here about 4 years and I still struggle to fully articulate what an ESC is. But what I'll say is that basically we were set up by the Texas legislature to pretty much help school districts out with whatever they need. So that can be professional development. It could be helping them with staffing and running their early childhood programs such as Head Start, Early Head Start. It could be providing direct services to students who have visual impairments or a physical disability through having an orientation and mobility specialist. It could be through running conferences such as our early childhood conference now for forever. We just do so many different things. But I want to say we serve around 130 school districts and charter schools
Okay.
in North Texas. It's kind of divided between the Dallas Fort Worth line. So Region 11 takes the Fort Worth side of it, and we're taking more of the Dallas side of it. So we kind of go all the way out. I'm not sure if anybody listening knows where this is at, but we go all the way out to pretty much Irving. We kind of stop there,
Okay.
and then we go out. Never eat. Sorry, I have to do my geography here. Never eat. We got about an hour east out to Terrell, and then about an hour south from
Okay.
Dallas.
Okay, cool. And I just had some folks on from
Oh,
Irvine
okay.
ISD. So,
Oh yeah, they do
people,
great work over there.
yeah, they do. So that's awesome. So you serve 130 school districts. I know around Wisconsin, they're called CISA, so they're education like
Yeah,
cooperatives. And
there's a
so
whole association for it
yeah,
that I'm
and
still more
in
familiar with.
many cases, they get some services through, like social media and communications efforts
Yeah.
too. But so, how does social media fit into your role now, Max, with Region 10?
So for Region 10, I work with our amazing digital marketing specialist, Alejandra Reyes, and we kind of tag team on the social media management for our organization.
Okay.
So we're doing content for Facebook, Instagram, X, and LinkedIn.
Yep.
We've been finding a lot of engagement, honestly, on LinkedIn over the past year. I think people have been really jumping on that tip, and so we've been kind of focusing more of efforts towards there. And then, so that's, I want to say social media takes up about a quarter to half my time usually, depending on
Okay.
what I'm doing that day. We do a lot of like on-site coverage. So if somebody's having an event and they want to share it out on social media, we might go out to a school district or out to a different location and highlight it on there. So a couple weeks ago, we went to a camp to highlight our they call it an extended core curriculum day for students with visual impairments. So it's a day for them to go out into a camp and explore some outdoor activities. It was kind of raining that day, so they didn't go out fully outdoors. So instead they did like a bow and arrows. They pet a bunny. They kind of did all these different like sensory activities just to kind of expose them to different outdoor activities, which is really cool. But then we also will sometimes go out to like a Head Start, early Head Start campus and kind of highlight what's going on there, especially if there's a teacher who's doing good work because we love getting to highlight teachers on our social media pages. And so it's just kind of that kind of stuff that we kind of do for our social media, really.
Okay. So you're celebrating all of the great different services, opportunities, programs that Region 10 offers for a variety of these 130 school
Yeah.
districts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Love it. And we're going to link your social media channels in the show notes so everybody can take a look. Now, one thing that I really wanted to highlight today is an event that you're coordinating, and you're coordinating it for this fall. And I just tell me about it. Like, what's it called? What's it all involve? Yeah.
So our upcoming event is called the Get Social Summit. It gets also with an exclamation point at the end of it. It's happening here at Region 10 on Monday, October 27th, 2025. Right now, planning to have it run from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And I think the day is going to involve a keynote with you and then 4 breakout sessions. And so last year we got really great feedback on it and people loved it. It was our first year doing it last year. So this is like our sequel, Get Social Summit number two. And so we're trying to expand on it, have some more odd different speakers, and really trying to help people out with whatever social media needs they might need. So if you're a social media manager for your school district, if you manage it for your school, or even if you're like an educator who uses it for like their own personal branding, it's a summit that I hope you attend, and I hope think that a lot of people can get stuff from it. Last year we had Molly McPherson as our keynote speaker, and she was phenomenal. She's one of those people who speaks nationally to corporate PR people about crisis communications, and she's amassed a really big following on social media, and people love that. And so we're really trying to improve on last year's one and hopefully make this year just as good, if not better.
We hope. I got big shoes to fill, but
I also them. I've heard
it's
amazing things.
it's going to be really fun. So, what made you decide that you wanted to put something like this together, Max?
So I have done some like social media help for these school districts, but one of the things that I feel is that like, while I know a lot about social media in general, I don't know how to like specifically for each person's specific district. Because I feel like depending on what district you're in, you might have different circumstances or different internal processes for how you manage social media. You might have different challenges. And while I know a lot about social media, generally speaking, I don't know a lot about each person's specific situation. But I feel like the people who do are the ones who are doing the work in districts that look similar to them. So I wanted people to be able to hear, if you're from a big district, I want you to be able to hear social media advice from somebody who works at a big district. If you're at a small rural district, I want you to be able to learn from and collaborate with somebody who's from a smaller school district similar to you. Because I feel like they're going to know more about what your internal processes and what your environment is probably like more than I will. Not saying that I can't help, but I just feel like these people probably have a better idea of what they need to hear more than I do,
Well,
if
it's
that
that
makes
whole sense of community and being able to learn from each other. And when it comes to social media, as much as I like to think, well, gosh, Andrea, you've been doing this 11 years, you're an expert. No, I'm not. I mean, I
Yeah.
just hang out with really smart people like you, Max, and like people
Oh
from
yeah.
all across the country that are doing good things. And we just put ourselves in the room of getting, continuous feedback, continual ideas, all of that. And so the other thing that I love about this event, many of my listeners have gone to events, which are awesome. They do a lot of training in different aspects. You talked about crisis communication
Yeah.
and volunteers and then, recruiting staff and, all the different things that are included in a role as a school communicator or an educator or a principal or whatever. This is a day that's focused just on social media.
Right.
And what do you think is the power of that? Just being able to focus on that one aspect of your job versus kind of everything.
I feel like being able to focus on that one aspect allows you to really think deeply more about it. Because I feel like with some conferences where it's like there's one social media session and then you might go to another session that's about another topic, it kind of scatters all these sessions, these topics out. And I feel like social media especially kind of has like a wide range of topics that can be discussed about it. Because social media includes so many different things. It includes writing, it can include photography, videography, it can include community engagement, it can include graphic design. It can include this just overall strategy for it. And so I feel like there's just a lot of directions that it can go in. And so I really wanted to give it a day so that way people can, whatever you're looking for to improve with your social media, whether it be graphic design, whether it be the writing for it, or recruiting people to participate in it. I wanted to give people an opportunity to really focus in on those things that they want to work on and hear from people that can do that. And so last year, I feel like we had a great range of speakers and a great range of subjects. And
Mhm.
so I'm hoping this year that we have the same impact and same range. One of the things that I'm trying to do actually right now, because I feel like also I get really great inspiration from looking at outside industries. So one of the things I'm working on right now is trying to find people who work not just in school PR, but like in industries that are similar to that, such as local government, universities, and bringing them in and kind of sharing what they do. Because I feel like that's a really great source of inspiration for people who work in school PR to look to. And so one person I do have is from the city of McKinney. She's actually got on the news because of how they've been able to use social media to engage with their community. And so I'm really looking forward to having her as a breakout session speaker. And I'm also looking at getting somebody from Sprout Social right now.
Okay.
He's the senior social media special social. He's a senior social media strategist at Sprout Social.
Okay.
He's almost um, agreed to sign up with us to present. I think there's a couple more things need to be worked out there, but I'm really looking forward to bringing in these outside speakers to really share their input and their ideas as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm excited to learn from those folks too. Another industry that I have followed a lot in regards to schools that I think are doing a really good job. And I know in some cases mixing religion and education is a
Hmm.
gray line, but there's a lot of churches that are really using
Yeah.
social media in a unique way to engage and get people, to their events
Right.
and, all of that. And so I just think that's a great spot too to get inspiration. Whether or not they come to speak at your event is another thing, but you just draw on a great recommendation is, yeah, you can look at schools for inspiration, but you can also look other places. And it's like, how can I apply this,
Right.
to my school? Because usually you can get even better engagement, you guys, because you're like not really trying to sell something. I mean, you're just trying to celebrate the great things
Right.
happening at schools.
Right.
Okay, so can any school attend this Get Social Summit, or do they have to be in Region 10? Do they have to be in Texas? Tell me.
Any school can attend. So as long as you can make an ESC works profile, you should be able to attend. So last year we had people who came from outside of our region. So we had some people from Region 11 register. We had somebody from, I want to say Region 7, which is like a couple hours northwest of us register.
Okay.
If anybody can come as long as you can register on ESC Works, which I believe anybody should be able to. And so for those who don't know, ESC Works, that's the platform that we use for all of our events. All you gotta do is make a profile on there
Okay.
and then you can register for it.
So is I can include the registration link in the show notes? Is that
Yes.
okay? You have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll make that.
How many people attended last year?
So last year was our first year, so we started small. We had 55 people attending.
Okay.
This year, hoping for somewhere between that and 100 people or so.
Okay.
just because I feel like, and also I feel like the small nature of it allowed for more people to connect and collaborate with the same people over and over and over again. And so it kind of sparked greater discussions around social media and some of their ideas.
Yeah, and connections that can last well beyond the one day that you're together.
Right.
And I am a hugger, Max. And
Yeah.
so if I can hug 100 people in a day. So you guys, if you get signed up, I not only want to try to
We get
chat with you and learn from you, but I might want to give you a hug. So
we get
that's a
free hug thrown in there.
yeah, that's a warning and an invitation. Both, okay?
Okay.
Um, so if other service agencies out there are listening, what advice could you share if they'd like want to draw some inspiration and maybe get something like this started for them? Because service agencies, I mean, you have to make a profit too. Like there's costs to
Yeah.
what you provide. And so this could be an idea that other service agencies across the country and in other states might want to set up not too close to Region 10. Okay. You just
Right.
send your folks to the Get Social Summit. But what advice would you have for anybody thinking of starting something like this?
Something that I didn't do when I first started this that I wish I had done is I wish that I would have gauged kind of sort of what areas of social media people really wanted to focus on. And so when we first started this, I think we just kind of threw out all these categories onto our speaker forum for people
Yep.
who wanted to submit a speaker proposal. And so we had like 20 or so categories. But I think after looking at kind of what sessions were attended last year and kind of what feedback we got from it, I think there are definitely some areas that I think people are more focused on. I definitely think people want to hear more about how you can create a student content creator programs at their schools. I definitely think people want to hear more about the crisis communications pieces. I definitely think people like hearing about the staff recruiting and HR component of it. And so I recommend doing that. The other thing that I also recommend doing is finding some of the people who work at the school districts around you who are doing a really great job of social media and inviting them to come speak as well. So rather than waiting for people to submit a presentation proposal, go out there and actually find them yourselves. That's something that I did last year because when I was first coming with this conference, I was going off because working at the service center, I'm kind of monitoring what all the school districts are posting out there just to kind of sort of see if there's anything that we can highlight on our own social media. And so I've kind of gotten a good idea about kind of who's doing really well at social media in our school districts. And so what I did is I invited some of them to come and speak to our attendees. And when I did that, I tried to have a good balance of large district speakers and small district speakers. So that way everybody kind of had coverage. I feel like we could do a better job, and so this is something I'm trying to do this year, of having some more smaller school districts come and speak at our summit. I know we had a couple of small districts, but I feel like we could have had even more than we had last year. And so that's a personal goal of mine to try to get some more small school districts in here, especially.
So you have a keynote and then you have like four breakout sessions. Do they have a choice of like three different breakout topics or how do you kind of do that?
So we kind of pick it based off of, so I don't think we have organized into topics. That could be an idea that we try to implement maybe next year. But I think what we really try to do is we try to do it, I think, by the topic itself. And so during each breakout session, we didn't have like one topic across all four or three or four rooms. We kind of had each room as its own topic,
Yeah.
and they kind of just rotated through the different sessions as they wanted to.
Okay. So they had a choice at each little block of breakouts, three or
Yeah,
four sessions, and then in the next breakout there was three or four new sessions to pick from. Is that right?
yeah, yeah. I think
Okay.
this year what we're going to try to do, because I think some people wanted to have this, I think some people missed out on some sessions. So I think this year what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have some repeat sessions. That way people can come and they can, if they miss out from hearing from somebody, they can have the chance during the next session to hear from them.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do a keynote, but then I'm also going to do a couple breakout sessions. And
Yes.
then you can bet your bottom dollar that when I'm not in doing my own, I'm going to be sitting in some of those
Oh
other
yeah.
rooms. I love your advice of really asking some of the people that are local. Now, do you pay all of your speakers that are doing some of those breakouts, or are those just volunteer?
So the speakers, they get free registration.
Okay.
So if you attend, the registration, I believe, is 150 unless you're part of our new communications co-op thing.
Okay.
But last year it was 150 for everybody, but our speakers I gave them free registration for because I didn't want them to have to pay to come to a
Yeah.
conference that they're presenting at.
Yeah, that's perfect. And presenting is such an opportunity for them to build on their skills,
Oh yeah.
give them some confidence. And just as folks are listening, whether you're in a service agency or you're in a SPRA, like a state school
Yeah.
public relations association, I've done some of these, kind of a social media drive-in day where it's just one day dedicated to social media. And so that's just another option for you if you're listening to this and like, yeah, it makes sense. I just really love the opportunity to get the time and the space to
Yeah.
really think and focus on the social media aspect. Like you said, there's still a lot
Oh yeah.
within social media, but the best thing is you kind of know where you're at as a school district or as a school,
Right.
and you know what you need to focus on next. It can be overwhelming, guys, and Rome wasn't built in a day. I think that's the saying. Either
Hmm.
as a social media strategy or, effort, but little by little, you can really make
Right.
improvements. And so I'm betting that the 55 people that came last year, it was so beneficial. They're going to be coming back this
We're
year.
hoping
And
for it. Fingers crossed.
yeah, you better because I want to see you and I
Yeah.
want to see what you've been doing. So that's really good advice. Any other advice that you can think of as far as people that are thinking about doing this? Because both tips are I mean, all of that was really good.
I would say, let me think, some advice that I had. What other? I would say start trying to promote this is just logistical stuff.
Yeah.
I found people kind of register for this kind of stuff, like not 6 months out, but more like 2, 3 months out or so.
Okay.
And so I'm planning on trying to really push for our promotion for this conference within the next couple of months. Right now, we're looking for speakers, so if anybody wants to speak at it, they're more than welcome to do that. But I think in a couple of months, I think when this podcast comes out, because it's coming out in June,
Yep.
I think we'll be in our promotion era.
Okay. And is there another link if people are listening and they would like to speak,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's free registration?
Yeah.
Is there a different link that they should submit that?
I have a Google form link that I can
Okay,
share
so
with you.
we'll include that in the show notes too. Okay,
Okay.
so the registration for the conference, and then also if you'd like to speak, and especially those focus areas that he talked about, students as storytellers, the crisis communication, the staff recruitment, and then definitely if you are in Region 10 and you feel like, hey, we've done some really cool things in social media. And by the way, it's these people are really humble, aren't they, Max? So
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
they
like
are.
you
Yeah.
might not think like, oh, this everybody probably knows this, but
Yeah.
this strategy has really worked well for us. Dude, it's
Just-
worth
yeah.
sharing. Like
Just go
people
for it.
want to know real stories, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing I'll say is that if you feel like you have an internal, because I feel like a lot of social media success is predetermined by your internal processes.
Yeah.
So if you have an internal thing that you're doing that you would love to share, I would definitely recommend submitting a presentation proposal because that's one of the areas that I really want to focus on this year is kind of what are some things people are doing internally to get some organizational buy-in, to get people to become more social media oriented. If you have a process that's been really working really well for you, definitely sign up to present because I would love to hear from it.
Yeah, because you have to kind of be that internal cheerleader, right? Of
Yeah.
getting everybody involved because you can't do social media by yourself.
Oh yeah.
So if you've got something that's working well, um, then yes, it deserves to be shared. And then you're going to get some ideas from other people. I don't know. I love it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up, I always like to end with your best social media tip. So Max, this has been such a fun
Yeah.
conversation because you have so much experience over the last 6, 7,
Yeah.
8 years, and you've, really worked social media in a variety of different industries and,
Yeah.
different roles. But do you have your best social media tip for the
My
listeners out there?
best one, I don't feel like it's like the most catchy one,
That's
but
okay.
engage with your comments. Engage with your comments.
Yep.
I think that comments are a hidden gem for community engagement. I think that content gets you seen, but I feel like engaging with the comments, engaging with their inbox, that's what's going to get you remembered. And I think that there's even data to back that up. I think I read a report from Sprout last year that showed that when people were just asked the opening question, what makes a brand memorable to you on social media, I want to say 70% of those responses included some mention of they engage with their audience. And that was above even content um, categories like that, such as creating original content. And so for me, we have really tried to make an effort on engaging with our comments, and it has really paid dividends for us. I have seen people submit better content for us. They've tagged us in more high quality content posts. I have seen our positive feedback skyrocket since I've started engaging with positive comments. It's incentivized them to share more positive experiences with our organization. And then one thing that I really try to do is if somebody tags us in a post and it's a really cool story and it's a really cool photo, I will ask them, hey, can we share this story on our other social media platforms? So just the other day, we had some consultants actually go out to a school and read to their kids for AAPI Heritage Month. And so somebody tagged us in that experience, and I asked them if we can share that on our social media channels, and they said sure. And so we posted that out yesterday, and it actually did really well for us on Instagram. And I believe that this content is just as valuable as the content that I'm making because I think people want to hear from their peers. They want to hear from their community. And when your community is tagging you in these positive mentions, you want to engage with them because it shows that you appreciate their contribution to this community. It shows that you appreciate them taking the time out of their day to write a positive review of you on social media. Because honestly, I can't remember the last time that I've actually posted myself any review of anything on social media. Like, I don't post stuff like that usually. And so when somebody does that, it's, I think, a really special moment for you to take advantage of.
Yeah, I love it. So engage with your comments. It's that hidden gem. So I like that.
It is.
Okay, Max, after talking with you, some of the folks may want to get in direct contact with
Mhm.
you. What's the best way to stay connected?
So staying with connected with me, if you want to email me, you can do that. You can email me at max.smith@region10.org. Or if you want to, you can also search me up on LinkedIn. I'm under there as Sterling Smith. So my
Okay.
first name is actually Sterling, so it's Sterling Smith, and it should be.
I can't believe you don't go by Sterling
I
Smith.
know it's a great branding opportunity that got missed, isn't it? I know.
Oh, Max, you
I
could be
know.
like a social media superhero, and I love that name. So you just
I know.
consider, you're still young, like you can consider adding
I
that back
know.
in.
Max is less letters, although it's 3 letters, so it's easier for me to write
Yes.
it out when I'm in a quick rush.
Well, I love it. I just
Yeah.
feel like we all hung around till the end and learned
Uh,
something really special. Okay, so we're going to include your email. We're going to include that LinkedIn. Definitely connect, reach out to Max. He's got a lot of great ideas. I am so excited to go to the Get Social Summit on October 27th. We'll be there all day long, hanging
oh,
out, talking social media. I'll be learning from all of you.
it'll be
Probably
a
get
day.
probably
Yeah.
get some more guests for this podcast because I meet awesome people every time I go out. So thanks so much for leaning into
Oh, it's my
this.
pleasure. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak at our second annual Get Social Summit. I get to use the word annual now because it's our
Yes,
second time doing it.
I love it. And yes, please get registered. I'd love to see you guys there. If you know anybody in the Texas area or beyond, it's very reasonable. And I think all I always remind people, Max, is if you can attract or retain like one student in
Hmm.
your district through the use of social media, that's thousands and thousands of dollars. So this investment for
Pays for itself.
$150, peanuts. So we would love to see you there. And thanks for hanging out with
Oh,
us.
my
And
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me onto this. This was a
yeah,
great first podcast experience.
yeah, it was his first, you guys. Can you
Yeah.
believe that? Sterling
First,
Max Smith's first podcast. I love it.
get
Well,
up.
you guys keep up the great work this summer. Social media doesn't quit, but it's probably a little bit quieter than normal. But we'll be back next week with another great episode. So until then, keep telling those stories, guys. Bye bye.